The FIFA Club World Cup is almost upon us. 32 teams from across the globe, 8 groups of 4, and a month-long competition with the winner getting the bragging rights to be considered the best club in the entirety of world football for the next 4 years. On paper, it sounds like a fun concept. But when you consider that FIFA, the most corrupt foundation in all of sports, are the ones running the competition, and that they chose to inaugurate this new version of it in a country ruled by Orange Julius Caesar, it does not inspire a lot of hope for its success. But the way you hear all of these football influencers in the English-speaking ecosphere talking about this competition, it's as if Gianni Infantino walked up to the essence and purity of the sport of football and shot it in cold blood in front of all of us for a $1 billion payday.
FIFA, we are here. Let's go! Turn up, man.
Don't get me wrong, I'm sure the thought has crossed his mind if it meant FIFA having an extra zero added on their bank account, but my point is that for all of the proper critiques that a competition ran by that organization deserves and that should be talked about, there's also a lot of weird projecting being done by this community, as well as their reaction to anything outside of European football, trying to take center stage, which is like that of a Victorian-era child after eating a Sour Patch Kid. So today, let's talk about the FIFA Club World Cup from the perspective of someone whose team is playing in it, who is excited for the concept of it, even with its faulty management, and about how I think that some of the critiques thrown around by various outlets and folks regarding the competition are being done in bad faith. First and foremost, this whole concept of the Club World Cup is not new. In fact, it has already been happening under this specific name since 2000, when FIFA launched the format to piggyback off the success they've had with the Intercontinental Cup, which was a one-off game between the Copa Libertadores winner in South America and the UEFA European Cup winner that began in 1960 and ran all the way through 2004. The framework and competition rules of it have varied since its inception in 2000, where Brazil hosted the first edition, and the bane of my f***ing existence in Esporte Clube Corinthians Paulista won the whole thing on penalties against Rio de Janeiro's side Vasco da Gama. After a bit of a logistics mess that is completely on brand for a FIFA tournament that was run by Sepp Blatter, the competition's 2001 edition was cancelled and it remained dormant until 2005. By then, they had finally figured out a new format where the continental champions of all 6 continents would come together in a knockout-style tournament over the course of a week and determine the Club World Cup winner. The format of the Club World Cup was expanded to 7 teams in 2007, the host nation being able to choose the best team from their domestic league to represent them as the 7th team, and that format of the competition trucked along until 2023 in order to make room for the souped-up version that we're about to see being hosted by the United States. Now, how do I know all of this? Well, besides the fact that searching for stuff on the internet is an easy thing to do, and you don't need a goddamn robot like half of football Twitter to explain it to you like you're 5, I am a Palmeiras fan. We won the Copa Libertadores in 2021, and with that, ended up earning one of those Common Bowl spots, and as a fan base, we have been salivating at the chance to play in this new format of the competition. Primarily because we suffer from having to hear just about every other club's fan bases in Brazil scream that Palmeiras não tem Mundial.
I mean, this is a look, man. I am suffering.
While cackling about their club's 1 to 3 Intercontinental or Club World Cup wins that happened 20 to 30 years ago, while my club's been winning multiple titles on the domestic and continental level in the past 5 years. But I digress. The Super Mundial, as we're calling it in Brazil, definitely has a crazier format than the previous iterations of the competition. You've got all 6 continents involved in some manner, you're guaranteed some pretty niche clashes you wouldn't witness in the world of football otherwise, and I think for anyone that actually likes the sport, instead of just liking individual players or a big team in Europe that came in second place for the umpteenth time. There's an appeal to see how the best teams in certain areas would fare against European giants, or to measure if there's a massive gap between African or Asian football against North and South American representatives. Things of that nature. After all, styles make fights. But before I get accused of being Gianni Infantino's greatest PR soldier, God knows he needs them to sell tickets in this edition of the tournament, I do want to emphasize that this new format of the Club World Cup comes with its fair share of oddities and some pretty massive fumbles during its preparation stages. When you're still limiting the continent of Oceania to one club only, along with ranking coefficients over 4-year cycles, leading to teams who aren't even in continental competitions this year being able to get in on the action, you have some issues. And that's before I even get into the fact that Inter Miami got awarded the host spot for winning the MLS Supporters Shield, aka the regular season league, over Columbus Crew, or the LA Galaxy, who actually won the MLS Cup after going through their whole knockout system over the past 2 years. If anything, we learned that having a play-in game in the manner that LAFC and Club America had to go through would have been the best solution for this whole host country club situation. And even that game only happened because FIFA botched their whole rulebook for this tournament when it came to the multi-club ownership situation with Club Leon and Pachuca, which eventually got Leon booted out of the competition in the first place, facilitating this play-in game. Yes, believe it or not, you can be excited about the concept of a club football tournament where multiple interesting matches are set to happen, while also criticizing the body organizing the tournament for being greedy scumbags who just do whatever the they want if it means gaining more influence and fortune. These things are not mutually exclusive, contrary to whatever your favorite monotone footballing YouTuber who roots for a team from nowhere Yorkshire might try to tell you. Okay, look, I know that sounded unnecessarily harsh, but it does lead me to my next point. Because over the past few months since the Club World Cup's format got announced, the draws for the group stage and everything in between, one particular group has been very, very vocal about it all. Europeans. English-speaking Europeans, to be precise.
Boy, if you don't get the out of my face.
There's been a lot of talk in recent months from many areas regarding this competition by prolific voices within regular media, social media, and in this outlet known as YouTube. This is what made me want to make this video in the first place, because English is widely considered a lingua franca in the world of football, especially in Europe. Which means that as someone who is fluent in English as a second language, I've unfortunately been subject to incredibly nonsensical takes left and right about this tournament. So rather than pulling a diagonal on you and flooding the next 30 seconds of your video with various tweets from every degenerate of football Twitter and showing you the horrors of the Twitter For You page, we're just gonna classify all of these critiques into a few different categories.
Who's we?
Ah yes, the primary European pilled go-to excuse that reeks of a superiority complex that none of them have actually earned, and yet these people feel the compelling need to tell you and I about how much they don't care about the competition because of a laundry list of reasons that go from their favorite club not being good enough to qualify for it, to how it's not prestigious enough because it isn't the UEFA Champions League. Congratulations! Now please remember that the only reason your leagues and your Continental Cup competitions are even at the level of prestige that they are now is because of egregious amounts of money that you all pay to grab the best foreign talents from outside of your continent and integrate them into your leagues and cups. Because let's be real, if your leagues were restricted to having the field players from your own countries,
We used an advanced regression model to find that you are either totally, entirely, or marginally f***ed.
Now, I'd happily open the floor to discuss how nonsensical the ranking systems for the selection of non-Continental Cup winning teams to partake in the FIFA Club World Cup are, and point out things like how Austrian energy drink merchants RB Salzburg are the equivalent of the polar bear in Arlington, Texas meme, but I know you all don't care, so we're gonna move on to the next category. Alright, this one, it's an important point because, believe it or not, there are actual and valuable arguments to make about this point when it comes to the sport, with the increase in matches over the past 20 to 30 years with the additions of various competitions on the local, continental, and worldwide scale. In fact, FIFA did a whole workload report calling for necessary safeguards on excessive workload for players throughout the course of a footballing calendar year. Of course, this is also an organization that only has 66 countries on board, most of them are European, and they also happily entered a historic partnership with UEFA after the latter expanded their Champions League format from 32 teams to 36, changed the whole format to add 2 extra league phase games, and then added an extra round of matches for teams placing 9th through 24th place. Additionally, let's not forget the fact that South American and Asian teams are actually having to stop their league play schedules to compete in this tournament, and they're adding another 3 to possibly 7 extra matches on top of a 60 to 70 plus match schedule, or how teams like Mamelodi Sundowns, Wydad AC, Al Ain, and Al Ali also just wrapped up their 45 to 50 plus game seasons not too long ago, and are also having to fly out of their respective homes to participate in this tournament too. See, footballers playing too many games and having a toll on their bodies that can lead to injuries and a decrease in the quality of the game is a concern that should and needs to be addressed. But when it's also an argument being made by the whiniest babies in the room who are upset that they can't farm Asian or North American markets for more money with asinine preseason tours immediately after their European seasons are over, or as their actual preseasons before their leagues start, I tend to lose most of my semblance of empathy. Look, if the players want to go on strike because they feel match load is too much of a burden on their bodies, I'm not stopping them. Good on them for standing up for themselves if they ever do it, because Lord knows these clubs and institutions are not going to do it. But the fact that this whole point is used by people as an attempted gotcha at a new tournament being launched, even if it is by, and I must emphasize, f***ing FIFA, rather than out of football fans feeling any semblance of pity for players and the overload of matches played each year, even you have to agree this is kind of f***ed up, right? Right? Huh. Somebody actually nailed at least half of the assignment. 5 out of 10. But I do have some notes. First, you mean to tell me that the Club World Cup, organized by FIFA, the epitome of pure sporting integrity, is motivated by money? I, for one, am shocked. What's next? You're gonna tell me water's wet? Or that those shiny new sponsorship deals for it from the PIF in Saudi Arabia didn't just magically appear out of love for the game?
If I wanted a joke, I'd follow you into the John and watch you take a leak.
Second, these European snobs pretended to have the same exact problem with the new format of the UEFA Champions League for months leading up to the competition, and now that it's been played for a whole year, I can't help but hear most of you clapping it up for all of the extra games and the entertainment you got out of them. Funny how football's being ruined turns into what a brilliant knockout stage after a few thrillers under the lights. But no, you're totally different when it comes to the Club World Cup. It's all about your values this time, right?
God damn it!
Anyway, moral high ground and pearl clutching aside, here's the facts. Many clubs are hell-bent on not only participating in this tournament, but on winning the whole damn lot. We've got the likes of Real Madrid out here promising to give each player a bonus of 1 million euros for winning the Club World Cup after the massive failure of a season that they had in 2024-25. Every single South American club is hell-bent on trying to take some European skulls back home and to call themselves the biggest of world champions by aiming for this trophy. You have players like goalkeeper Khalid Issa from Al Ain stating how these will be some of the most beautiful matches of a lifetime, ones I'll remember for decades. In Saitama, thousands of fans unfurled a huge flag saying, "Grab the World Cup," ahead of Urawa Red Diamonds' last domestic game against FC Tokyo before heading to the US for the tournament. You can go through every single team that is in this Club World Cup, and you're going to find a story about how much a competition like this one means to them and their fans. Along with also realizing how archaic the MLS is as an institution for screwing the Seattle Sounders and Los Angeles Football Club out of their rightful prize pool for participating in this tournament. Surely, to any of my European contemporaries who have somehow managed to stick it out through all of this video, you can understand the concept of a tournament where opportunities are given for teams around the world who do meet the criteria to shine, to give their fans memorable moments that they will never forget. After all, isn't this what sports are all about? Those once-in-a-lifetime memories and the possibilities that come with it? At the end of the day, the FIFA Club World Cup is fine. It's not perfect. It will likely never be perfect. After all, it's run by FIFA. In some way, shape, or form, they'll find ways to make the qualifications in future renditions of this just as convoluted as this first go-around, and I don't even want to imagine the logistic nightmare that in addition where multiple teams from Citigroup and Red Bull managed to qualify for will lead in terms of those clubs being allowed to stay, while another Liga MX club probably gets booted because of multi-club ownership. But at this instant, it's the closest competition that we will get that might just answer the question as to who the best football club in the entire world is, no matter how many footballing snobs out there may try to tell us otherwise. And most importantly, it'll be a competition where I don't have to put up with Jamie Carragher's dog shit analysis on the sport during halftime and the aftermath of each of the games I watch. Well, that does it for me. If this video was something you enjoyed watching, or if you just like me yapping in general, go ahead, click the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you feel inclined, you can also hit the join button to become a member of the channel. You'll get access to a private Discord along with constant updates on the status of new videos and some other goodies to be announced. Oh, one last thing before I go. If you are going to go in the comments to say how you're still not going to be watching regardless, how you still don't care, or some asinine nonsense like that, I just have one suggestion for you. Please, 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 go find better ways to disappoint the father figures in your life.